Every NBA season, the league's top-tier talent battle it out for not only the chance to win a championship, but also to be named the league's most valuable player of the season. The MVP award is a very prestigious honor that signifies the player that performed the best all season long in the eyes of the voters, and oftentimes is a very nice individual validation for someone's Hall of Fame case. The problem with this testament, though, is that the people that vote for the winner of the award don't always get it right, leaving fans questioning and debating the decision-making of said voters. This brings us to the topic of today's video, where we will be taking a look back at 6 times the voters of the MVP award, in my opinion, chose the wrong guy, as well as discussing who should have won the award in their place. Before we start though, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video, as all support is very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first time the voters got it wrong that we'll discuss today is also the most recent example on the list, which is the 2017 MVP race, where the voters chose Russell Westbrook. The race for this award was one of the closest, most highly debated debates in recent memory, and for good reason. While Russ absolutely did have a historic season that year, I was at the time, and still to this day, believe the award should have gone to James Harden, and here's why. Yes, this was the first year that Russell Westbrook averaged a triple-double over the course of an entire season, which was the first time anyone had done it since Oscar Robertson. However, when you look at Harden's numbers, they're almost completely identical to Westbrook's. Harden averaged 29.1 points, a league-leading 11.2 assists, and 8.1 rebounds per game, while scoring the ball very efficiently with a 61.3 true shooting percentage. Russ's averages of 31.6 points, 10.4 assists, and 10.7 rebounds per game look better because of that rebounding number being in double digits, but rebounding from a guard shouldn't be the deciding factor in an MVP debate. Plus, Harden led the Rockets to 55 wins, which was good for the 3 seed that year, while Russ and the Thunder only won 47 games, good for 6th place in the West. Russ won because of the history surrounding the triple-double, but ultimately, Harden had very similar production that led to better team success. The next example of this up on this list came in the 2011 season, where the voters chose Derrick Rose for the award. Now, as most of you already know, this was the first season that LeBron James played in Miami after the very infamous decision that he aired on ESPN. At the time, he was one of, if not the most hated players in the league, and it became very easy for people to root against him. Because of this, whether people want to admit it or not, there was definitely a bit of bias against him in the media, and they were likely looking for any reason not to give him the MVP award that year. Plus, as it just so happened, Derrick Rose made a major step forward in his game and played a massive role in the Bulls getting the 1 seed in the East. The combination of him being a much better feel-good story and the team's success was enough for the voters to give him the edge over LeBron. However, the reality of the situation was that the Bulls only won 4 more games than the Heat, so the team's success edge was very minuscule, and individually, LeBron blew him out of the water on both ends of the floor. LeBron had won the previous 2 MVP awards as well, so voter fatigue may have also played a part in this decision, but ultimately, LeBron was more worthy of the award that season. Next up on this list is the MVP race of 2008, which was won by Kobe Bryant. Up until this point, Kobe had not won a single MVP award in his career, yet the belief amongst many of the fans and members of the media was that he was pretty deserving of at least one in prior years. Because of this belief, the voters were looking for a reason to finally give him one in order to make up for previous years. Kobe had a terrific year this season, and the Lakers were the 1 seed in the West, so the formula of giving the award to the best player on the best team fits here. But looking deeper into the context of his competitors, Chris Paul had a much stronger case. To start, regarding team success, the Lakers won 57 games this season, and the Hornets won 56, so the team success aspect is pretty much a wash. Individually, Chris Paul put up 21.1 points, a league-leading 11.6 assists, and a league-leading 2.7 steals, and he also shot 49% from the field and 37% from three. This was in an era before point guards were trusted with the high usage that they are in today's game, so 20 and 10 from a point guard was absolutely elite, especially with his efficiency too. This season was Chris Paul at his absolute peak, and while he will go down as one of the best point guards ever, he should have had at least one MVP added to his resume. Next up on this list, continuing on our discussion from the last example, is the 2006 MVP race that was won by Steve Nash. Back in the mid-2000s, the Suns' offense was revolutionary. They ranked near the top of the league in offensive rating year in and year out, and Steve Nash was the biggest reason for that. He pushed the pace and played a fun, up-tempo style of basketball that created tons of easy points for his teammates, and he had the vision to create for others at a level that matches the all-time greats. On top of that, he was hyper-efficient and a highly reliable shooter. The reason that I disagree with this MVP selection, however, is because it just so happened to coincide with Kobe Bryant's best season as a pro, in which he averaged over 35 points, scored 81 points in a single game, and carried a team of, quite frankly, bums to the playoffs with 45 wins. The Suns were only the third best team in the West that season, so it's not even like they gave it to the best player on the best team, and while the Suns were definitely better than the Lakers, Nash unquestionably had a lot more to work with in regards to how good of teammates he played with. Going back to the last example we discussed, Kobe definitely deserved an MVP in his career, but it should have been this season instead of the 2008 season. Next up on this list of times the voters got the MVP wrong is the 2005 season, when Steve Nash was crowned with his first of his two MVPs. Now, I really hate to pick on Steve Nash in this video like this, because he really is one of my favorite players I've ever watched, but it's just so difficult to deny that he won two of the most questionable MVP awards in league history. This race definitely did come down to giving it the best player on the best team, as the Suns did finish with the best record in the NBA, but Nash's individual production was some of the lowest an MVP has ever averaged, putting up 15.5 points and an admittedly really high 11.5 assists per game. The player that I believe should have won this award was Shaquille O'Neal, who was playing his first season as the member of the Miami Heat, and his presence instantly elevated the team immensely. The season before, the Heat were just barely above 500, winning 42 games, but this season, they won 59 games and finished with the best record in the East, and Shaq was the biggest reason why. He averaged 22.9 points, 10.4 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks per game, while leading the NBA in field goal percentage at 60.1%. There's no doubt that Nash elevated the Suns to top of the league, but Shaq's value was on full display when he took a 500 team to the top of the East, and with better individual production on top of that, should have been rewarded with an MVP. And finally, the final example in this video comes from the 1997 season, when the MVP gave the award to Karl Malone. If there was ever a year in which voter fatigue was real, it was definitely this season. Michael Jordan had already won 4 MVP awards in his career at this point, including the last season's award, and the reaction to this choice this season was people assuming that they just decided to give it to someone else for a change. Karl Malone, who is one of the best power forwards ever and certainly had a terrific season, put up 27.4 points, 9.9 rebounds, and 4.5 assists per game, while leading the Jazz to a franchise-best 64 wins. Jordan, on the other hand, was still just as dominant as ever, averaging 29.6 points, which led the league, 5.9 rebounds, and 4.3 assists, while leading the Bulls to a whopping 69 wins, which was at the time tied for second most wins a team had ever won in league history. Jordan has won plenty of accolades in his career, and his status as the GOAT is relatively safe, but this was one more accomplishment he could have and should have to his name. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.